Morning. Today I'm going to show you how I make coffee while I'm out camping. So, in the past, I just learned this way, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago. But in the past when we would go camping, we always brought the little name brand tea bag looking coffees, and we tried them. They worked out okay, but didn't like them too much. And we tried a couple different brands too, so it didn't really matter. It almost tastes like coffee, but it was a little bit different, so we didn't like that too much. And then I've used the percolator part of the coffee pot, and that's okay, but these are just extra parts now to keep up with all the time. Although I know you can just store it in the pot, it's still extra things. So and when our daughter was off in Japan, she would send us back these little kind of coffees, and they're kind of neat. I'm not going to open one up because my wife still likes them a lot, and I'm not allowed to waste any of them. But what it is just a little cardboard box that'll fold over top of the cup. It's got a little silk screen around it, and some pre-measured coffee, and you just pour your hot water into it and let it drip into the cup. It's like the equivalent, I guess, of a coffee dripper. And, they're not too bad, but it's slow and tedious, and you just got to pour it a little bit at a time, and it can be messy, and it's just, well, just didn't like it too much. But so a couple years ago, I went out to a guide school in Montana, Royal Tine Outfitters, and I was in the camp cook school out there. Spent 2 weeks, and I cooked for 12, 8 students, myself, and 3 instructors. So anyhow, we would make quite a bit of coffee, and we had these really large coffee cups. So as I learned how to do this, it was in volume, and then through my notes I whittled it down to something that's really personal size. Just this little I've had this little percolator pot here now probably 25-30 years. My mom gave it to me as a teenager when I was going camping on my own, and it's been a pretty good little pot to me, so it's kind of sentimental. And although I have a few other ones, I always go back to this one. I really like this one. So today I'm just going to show you how I make it. I already know I'm going to fill my water up to right about there. You don't want to fill it too much higher than that, because then it could boil over and make a big mess. So I know that already that this is going to be 3 cups for me, and so I based all my little notes and stuff off of this. And then I also made myself this little notebook so I can keep up with it, store it in my backpack, and it's just 2 pieces of leather and some rivet screws holding it together. But for my little coffee pot here, it is going to be somewhere in here. Yeah, for 3 cups of water, and I wrote down 10 teaspoons, and then I found out that 11 really works better for taste-wise. So anyhow, 10-11 teaspoons of coffee for this. So now that's it for my explanations. So let me get started. I'll show you how I do this. So I'm just going to use my little burner stove today. Just got a bunch of other stuff to do, and in my mind I wanted to build a fire and do it all over a fire, but for one, it's supposed to rain again today. Could be soon too from the looks of it, but we've got some other stuff we're going to do too, and I still wanted to show you the information, so I'm just going to use this little stove today. Gotten a lot of use out of this canteen since I got it. I'm going to just fill it up to, like I said, right about the time the water starts coming through the spout, and then that'll, it gives me a, I know the camera's not going to pick it up, but it is right about here. That gives some headroom, and you just barely see it coming through the spout there. So I'm going to set this on here and let it come to a boil. So once it comes to a boil, I'll get back with you. Okay, so my water is just about at a boil. Oh yeah, no, it is at a boil. So I'm going to turn this down for a few minutes. It's going to be hot. Alright, so sorry if it seems like I'm yelling. Between this camera and my GoPro camera, this camera has a much better microphone, but it always seems like my videos are a little hard to hear. So anyhow, I got some boiling water here, and like I said, I figured out that it was 11 scoops of coffee for me, so I needed a new coffee scooper, so I made this the other day. It was a piece of white pine, green wood, and just kind of carved it out. It is almost a teaspoon. It's just a little short of it. So I kind of sometimes add in a little extra scoop. Just that. Anyhow, it's this. So just. You just put your coffee directly into the boiling water. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and just because it's a little bit short of a teaspoon, I'm just going to add one more for good measure. 12. Alright. So, as I learned this, they called it Cowboy Coffee, and in Cliff Jacobson's book, Cooking Outdoors, and he does a lot of canoeing and stuff up on Boundary Waters. He just calls it coffee, but most of the time I'll call it Cowboy Coffee myself, because that's the way I learned it. So take this now and put it back over your water, stir it down, and bring it back to a boil. I kind of turn not as fast of a boil, just to I don't want to make a mess, but just stir it in there. It's going to take a couple minutes, but for right now, and I'm going to see if I can get the still kind of hot. See if I can get it up close to the camera. It's I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's a little frothy. It's you just want to keep an eye on that and let it kind of cook into a lot of that frothiness goes away. And what I do is once it comes back up to a boil, I let it slow boil till you can't stir it down with a spoon for another minute, minute and a half, and then and that'll be it. It's really a good mellow coffee too. It does. They take some of the bitterness out of it that the coffee usually has, and it's just it's a good coffee. We make quite a bit of it when they're up in Montana. And like I said, it was them good sized pots too. We'd make probably 2 of them a day. Some if it was a colder day, maybe even a third one. But it's, Alright, so I'm just going to continue to slowly stir this and bring it back up to a boil. Right as it gets ready to come back up to a boil, I'll turn the camera back on. We'll finish this off. Alrighty, here we go. It's almost there. It's just starting to ripple across the top of it now, so it's almost ready to add a boil. Probably could have left the camera running, but it hasn't really been off that long, maybe a minute or so. I'm just not a big talker, and I didn't know really what to talk about for that minute, so I just thought it'd be easier to leave it off. But what I'm looking for is just a heavy enough boil to where you just can't stir it back down, and it's almost there at that. Alright, there we go. That's it. So it is, we'll give it a minute. I still keep it stirring and moving just to keep the sides scraped a little bit. Not really, and any of the frothiness, but it's all the froth, all them little frothy bubbles that I had earlier, they're just about gone now. And, so it's, okay. And then you want to have some water ready. You won't need much, but a couple spoonfuls of it. Okay, so there we're at a minute now, and I'll just let this go another 20 seconds or so. Yeah, there we go. That's really beautiful there. Alright, I know you're thinking that all them grounds are directly in that water, and you know you're going to get a bunch of coffee grounds every time you pour it into your cup, but that's how you remedy this. So you take it and take some cold water, and I always start off with the spout and the mosquito, and pour some of it straight into the spout, and then I just keep tilting it on the, excuse me, had a mosquito, through the spoon, and just pour it around the rim, and just a little bit into the coffee itself. Sometimes it makes a little bit of a mess, and it doesn't help when mosquitoes are biting you on the forehead. But that's that cold water into the boiling water. There it'll settle all the grounds. All your coffee grounds will go to the bottom, and everything else in the pot is just all coffee. So that's it. That's you know, get my cup here. That's it. Cup, and that's it. I think I'll have myself a cup of coffee and enjoy the morning before it starts raining. So, nothing but pure coffee, no grounds, and they're yeah, they're all done here in the bottom. When you're all done, just rinse it out and put it away for tomorrow. So, yeah. Cheers. We'll see you in the woods.